They say behind every success, there's a story nobody sees. My name is Carey, a girl who dared to dream, a woman who have gone through fire and grace. I have lived so many lives in one body. In this documentary, I want to bring you into my world so that you can see the real moments before the glam, the real moments that you never get to see. I want to share with you something that I have never shared, my story of becoming who I am. This is my story, my truth, my journey, and I'm so honored to share it with you, and I hope you get inspired. So the story begins where I was born, in a small town in Nanyuki called Daiga in the 90s. Walking down the memory lane, and it has taken me way back of where I came from, where I was born. And this is the place that I was born. It's called Daiga. It's in Nanyuki. And seeing now everything that we went through this place, happy moments and sad moments all together coming down on me, imekuwa emotional. But one thing I can say, thank God. I hear people say that they are poor, and I hear people say that people compete to be poor, like how poor they were. But I normally keep quiet on how poor we were, because we were very, very poor in terms of resources, in terms of money. We were poor. Yes, we were rich at heart, but kwa mikono we were very poor, to the extent that there were times that we didn't have lunch, to the extent that the only meal that we could afford at the time was ugali and maji ya chumvi. So one thing I remember when I was in Daiga, this place inakata ni kama haijaijengwa at all, but anyway, tulikuwa tunaishi hapa, is sometimes when you are going through like when you are maybe so poor, what really matters is happiness, peace of mind. Because it's only right now that I realize how poor we were when tulikuwa tunaishi hapa. Because I only have a lot of sweet memories about how my dad used to come to visit us, kutuletea like some gifts from Nairobi, how we used to play, you know, na baba na mama with my brothers and my sisters. Like those are the sweet moments that I have. And nikienda shule nilikuwa nakimbia like all, because nilikuwa just open and we are running going to school. In Nanyuki there were a lot of insecurity, because with hunger comes greedy, comes people want to fight for food, everybody for himself. And that's how the rise of wizi wa kuku, ng'ombe ilianza. And since we had, my parents had at least tried to accumulate that in terms of wealth that tulikuwa nayo, we were always the target, given that my dad alikuwa job Nairobi. So we were always the targets, easy targets. So the insecurity, because they were like visiting every night, coming to see what they can steal. It made me like be afraid of darkness, and sometimes like mimi huogopa sana, though I try to pray for God's protection. So I remember also how one day vile tulikuwa tunaibiwa sana, because you know hii place tulikuanga tu maybe sisi tuko hapa, wengine wako mbali. So there was a lot of theft. People used to steal chicken and livestock too in general. And I remember at night my mom used to wake us up, and I remember tulikuwa wadogo kabisa. Like I was maybe around maybe 4-5 years, but I still remember how my mom alikuwa anatuamsha, anatuambia tuwike, tupige ndio waweze wajua tuko watu wengi. But alikuwa anaambia my brothers wangu wakubwa, but since niko hapo nilikuwa nakumbuka Then anatuambia tukutoka kila mtu kwa mlango ashike kitu yenye ako nayo. And she's a very strong woman. If alimanage, because tulikuwa tunaibiwa, but alimanage kusema kupiga duru. Sasa nakumbuka pia mimi nilikuwa najaribu kupiga duru, but yangu haiko inatokea since I was young. That is a trauma. And I remember we used to have those kind of like shida mpaka tulikuwa tunakula chakula. I remember one day tulikula ugali na kitunguu because huko kuna mea vitu mingi. Kichukua inamea ni kitunguu na sizos na sijui nini nyingine. Na hii niangana inaitwa nini? That thing ilikuwa inamea. So I remember one day my mom, we didn't have anything to eat. So what my mom did is just cut onion, fry them, then put a lot of water for that onion and salt, and then used to eat that with ugali. Na sometimes the onions zikakuwa zimeisha and ilibidi tukule the ugali na chumvi. Na tunanga watu wanasemanga ni story, but funny enough mimi sikuwa naona ini shida. I guess ni kwa sababu nilikuwa mtoto, and also like there's so much joy that we are going through. Yes, tuko na mashida, but we have joy in the house. That's what mattered to me. That was what was of importance in my life. The joy, the family, and all that. The trauma, I feel like I have been able to at least overcome them, because I make sure every night I pray, even during the day. Sometimes I can just, decide to go around our house and just pray for protection. I know better, but when I was young, I used to be so afraid. I used to live in this environment where if it's dark or if I'm in a place where I feel like I'm not secure, nilikuwa naogopa sana. And also being alone at night used to traumatize me. I had a brother called Barnabas, and we lost him when he was very little. I have a very vague or little memories of him, and I feel like so sad every time I remember him, because he didn't get to live, he didn't get to experience what the world had to offer to him. He did not get his chance to even like try and change the world or make an impact. It just breaks my heart. This place, it has sweet memories of my childhood, but it has also some very sad memories of my childhood, because I remember that's how when we were young, really young, we lost our brother, one of our brother. Na alikuwa twin of my brother. I know mnamjua, anaitwa Hiram. And I still remember like everything that happened when he died. And it's funny that when he died, when we were seated somewhere, and I was telling my other siblings, like, can you see there's a man coming, and this man is dressed in white. Na nikawaambia like waangalie, but hawakuwa wanamuona. Na vile alikuja nikaona, then ameenda. Najaribu kuwaambia kuna mtu like that person, and they never saw that person. And how mimi naonanga it was like it was an angel, because ni mimi tu nilimuona, and that image nakuanga tu kwa my mind until now. So, and also like the fact that, yes, I know he's not here with us anymore, but the fact that we buried him here, then we moved, and like all that, it brings, a lot of sad memories. And one thing I know, he's in a very happy place. I know he's happy wherever he is. He found his peace. But I choose to remember him as being a happy child, a child that is living, that's now in heaven and happy. It's a very sad memory for me. That's why visiting Daiga, it gets to trigger the memories and makes me sad. But I know we will meet someday. We will meet someday, definitely. And I can't wait to tell him all about everything, about my siblings. and about how I tried my best to do my purpose and to just create an impact where God placed me. And what gives me comfort of that is we are all in a journey, and for me to be able to live my life right, so that when I die, we can be united with Him, and just to know that maisha hapa duniani, it's very short, no matter how long we think it is. So yeah, those are my memories here. It's not all sweet, yeah, but I thank God for everything. I went to school at Mugumo Primary. I remember the school, it was also like, I remember I didn't like school so much, but one thing I remember, I was a very bright kid at school because I always had gifts. When we are being called number 1, number 2, number 3, and there was always something that you'll be given. So mimi sikuwa nasoma ndio nipite, nilikuwa nasoma ndio nipate gift, na sikuwa napenda shule. The last time I was here, it was like almost 20 years ago. And now we are back here in the school that nilikuwa. Yeah, hapa ndo nilisomea Mugumo Primary School. So kama kuna alumni wa Mugumo Primary School, mikono tu tujuanie kwa comment section. Anyway guys, this is where I schooled for my nursery school, like baby class, baby whatever your time. And yeah, we were just about to go in, and I'm excited because the memories here was for one teacher, Mrs. Madare. That teacher was tough. Oh, I remember alikuwa anakuchuna hivi, unainuka nayo hivi. Hiyo time hakukuanga na ile sijui unachapa mtoto sijui discipline sijui nini. Yeye alikuwa anakuchapa. And I remember one day nilikuwa naongea na a friend, akaniambia I spelled the name ruler, sikujua. And that was, nilipata kichapo cha sijui nini. Then another memory I remember is that in this school kuna place, kuna mto na hapo chini. Na tulikuwa tunaenda kuchota maji in that river. Hapo waliwekewa maji. And maybe who knows, kama kwa maybe one day I can jitolea. But I'm so excited. I can't wait to interact, if I'll be allowed to interact with some of the kids in here, and just, to know and to just talk to them, encourage them, and tell them it's very possible. Even if umetoka place kama hii, you can amount to someone great in the society. It does not matter where you come, you have started your life. You don't get to choose where you start, but you can get to decide where you can finish that story. So guys, come, let's go.
Mugumo Junior School!
So the reason why we left the Daiga place, one is because of a lot of insecurity, and also the hunger, like we were starving a lot, because that place ilikuwa inawaka jua where hatuwezi panda anything, like ya kukula vitunguu saa zingine ndo zinamea. I am surprised, like right now it looks so green. I have never seen that place look that green. Ilikuwa to always new purple, like kunakaa tu plain evil. So my dad decided we go to Karatina, where at least my mom could be able to plant bananas, swallows, maize, beans, something just to eat in case there's no money. So that's how we lived. And one thing I guess I take from my dad is a risk taker. My dad will think about something and he will do it like instant. He's not indecisive. Like he makes his decision very quick. Like that time was like, okay, we are leaving tomorrow, we have to pack everything, and now he's not backing down. Tunaenda. I guess I take that from him. Just making decision that seems like very risky. And then now we moved all the way from Nanyuki to Karatina, Dimaine. And I just want to take you through the journey. Here, we thought now we have tumetoka place tulikuwa tunaibiwa, the drought, the hunger, which was causing like the local to steal from each other. So we moved to Karatina. And in Karatina, the school that I schooled at, the primary school, is a school behind me, Dimaine. So Dimaine Primary School, at least there now we could afford at least to wear shoes. My mom could bring food. Sometimes we could go get lunch, or sometimes we could carry packed lunch. But like for me, I didn't like going to school again. So mimi mambo ya shule sijui mbona, na ningerealize mambo kitambo ingenisaidia. And I don't have a lot of memories here. I can't remember a lot of things. Mugumo Primary School is where I remember a lot of things, though I was young. Here, I guess I was a little bit, kukua too traumatized with the shift and all that. And here is the school. And I think it's so sad. Mungu tu aendelee tu kunibariki, because I might maybe one day put a gate on it, because there's no gate in this school still. But yeah, it's a beautiful school. We thank God. Karatina is now where my dad was born. That's where my grandpa, like his brothers, are. So he decided, since like he has already been given a lot there by his dad, we go there. So like since I was very young, I didn't have a lot of memories there. Yeah, so actually like it felt warm since we were going to where our uncles and aunties are. It was so different from Nanyuki because ya milima, kulikuwa na milima mingi, and it was extremely cold. Even if Nanyuki is cold, it's dry air. Hapa hivi, it's like also like the air, it's very like everything is cold. Kuna matope, kuna nini, huku kule tu ni baridi ya kawaida ya kaupepo. Huku ni kila kitu is extremely cold. Something that ilinishock ni kuona watu wakimwaga food. Like somebody literally leftovers anazitupa ati hawezi kula. Hiyo ilinishock. How do you throw food? Like sisi kwetu tulikuwa tunang'ang'ana kushiba, then unaona mtu anatupa chakula. Sometimes ulikuwa na feel ni kama unaweza na kwa hiyo ni place amemwaga uokote. I remember when we didn't have like a lot of money, my mom was just to boil banana and anazichoma, and that was enough. Tunakula na salt. So si kama vile tulikuwa tunazoea na ugali. At least huku there were variety of food. And also my grandpa alikuanga na like all varieties of fruits. So when we could go visit him hapo tu chini, because alikuanga like chini yake, tunaenda tunakula, anatupea sweet bananas, mangoes, avocado, like a lot of passion fruits. Alikuwa na like matunda kama aina yote na miwa. So the moment you visit grandpa, unarudi kama umeshiba. Hence like ile like kustarve. Sisema like tumestarve in Karatina. So this is where we came to build our home, and it holds so many memories. One of it is memories of my grandpa, who is no longer with us. So let me take you to our home and where we build after tumetoka Nanyuki. Let me walk you down the memory lane. So we thought now the life will get better, but it didn't get better. So anyway, this was our home around the corner. That's where the kitchen was. I guess that's why imemea hizi vitu zote. And okay, this place holds mixed memories, because at that time, that's when my dad was trying to balance trying to find work or try to do business, but it wasn't working. Then my mom was here. So my mom used to, to go and kulima tu shamba za watu where analipwa, because hata kama kuna food stuff, you need to cook them, you need like oil, the kids need to go to school. Kuna watu expenses na they can only be maintained if you go kwa shamba ya mtu unalima, either anakupea hizo vitu exchange ama anakulipa. And also kulikuwa tuna some here and there conflicts, family conflicts, and it really affected us and our mom. So, and since my dad was in Nairobi that particular time, he decided to just come and get us. So he got our mom for 1 month, akaenda Nairobi to just kupanga everything, for everything kukua poa. And so akatuacha tu huku, asaenda kuprepare, and I guess most of my memories are for that 1 month that my mom alikuwa ameenda, though alikuwa anakujanga every weekend. Because I remember we went through a lot during that particular time. Because there was a time, kuna vitu mingi zilikuwa zina happen, you know, since we are kids, and some of the people that we have been trusted with, they were kind of, you know, hawakuwa wanatupeleka vizuri, for lack of a better word, and tuliteseka sana. But I thank God that when my dad was preparing and he looked at the situation that we were going through, though they were to prepare for a longer period of time, akasema, even if sasa ni mateso, acha tuteseke tukiwa wote as a family unit. And that's when he took us, all of us, to Nairobi. He came just 1 weekend and he made that decision. Like out of blue, out of nowhere. Hakuwa ametafuta nyumba, hakuwa amefanya anything. Yani Nairobi, akakuja, akatuchukua, akatuambia tunapanga. Like kila mtu apanga kila kitu ako nayo, tunaenda Nairobi. And that's what happened. That's how we got to Nairobi. And I guess it's just because of kukuja kuangalia watoto wako unashangaa. Like what kind of life are they living? Because I know you can say, and also like the kind of setup, please unawacha the kind of environment inakuwa a little bit toxic for them. So akatutoa, akatupeleka Nairobi. The rejection from some of family members taught me that everything happens for good for those who love God. I don't hold any grudges anymore. I have healed, and I just pray God to also give them grace, to also be with them. And it has also taught me to be a better human being, to make sure I don't despise anyone because of where they come from. And that's how also I want to raise my kids, to not despise anyone, to be humble. I just know God can change that person that you despise in front of your eyes for you to see. So just if that happens to you, just don't fight back. Let God fight that battle for you. I know it's so hard when you just have to sit still when somebody is disrespecting you, disrespecting your parents, like even anakutusi, like in kwa macho yako. You just want to fight because you know you have something to say, you know. Uko na hiyo kitu, like unaona hiyo mstari mmoja ni itamuua. You have to talk back. No, just hold still. When they are doing that, just pray. If you don't have the strength to hold and to stay still, pray. Let that battle belong to God and God only, because He will take the glory and He will fight for you. And we haven't been able to rebuild this house because of some reasons that the healing takes time, and I guess maybe we might come together and rebuild this house and just put just like a simple, beautiful structure in here. Yeah. So now we are in Nairobi. We came to Nairobi to land mjini. Na si mjini peke yake, pale Madare North. So I remember the only place nilikuwa nafikiria place yenye nilikuwa najua Nairobi ilikuwa Kayole, and I thought that Kayole ilikuwa ni posh place. Now back then when we tulikuwa shags, Kayole, umetoka Kayole, ndio tu nilikuwa najua. So in Madare North we used to live in this apartment. Okay, when I went nilikuwa nimeona like imechapa, but back then here ilikuwa ni like make 10 big step. And right there, my friend, that's where life started. So many memories here. But I want to show you somebody who has been very vital in our life. And when we were coming to Nairobi, and it's my uncle, of course. Oka. So right here, this is my uncle. He's the one who facilitated us. Alikuwa anaweza kubuka tukikuja Nairobi, vile tulikujanga.
Si nakumbuka mzuri sana.
Nakumbuka vile tulikuja na mavitu.
Mbona nisahau? Hiyo time. Siwezi sahau. Iko kwa akilini mwangu.
So ulitusaidia sana ile time tulikuja Nairobi because
mimi ndio nilimkaribisha huku Nairobi.
I know.
Nimekaa hapa, unaona hapa Madare, hapa nimekaa 30 years. Miaka 30 sio kidogo.
The business that my mom and dad decided kuweka ilikuwa ni ya hoteli. So you used to eat chakula kibaki na ilikuwa inabaki moba wako wanauza. So tulikuwa tunakula hizo chakula za hiyo hoteli. So most of the time hatukuwa tunapika. Tunakula hizo chakula na tunafeel tu poa. Wamejaribu kuweka hoteli.
Oh, mkoro wako. Unajua mimi, by the way, unajua mimi mwenyewe hoteli, mimi nilikuja hapo nikafungua hoteli tukiwa na babako. Saida tulikuwa na babako walikuja tukafungua hoteli na hapa Madare North wakaka sana. Hiyo kazi sio rahisi vile mnafikiria. Hiyo kazi ni zito baze. Na unajua sasa mlikuwa ndogo na mlikuwa kabulea na shida mingi. But sasa hivi siko sawa. Sasa hapa ni Mungu.
Thank God.
Hiyo ni Mungu.
May God bless you.
Mungu anatoa mtu mahali anampeleka.
For what you did na kutushikilia. We might not say this enough, but to us we totally appreciate because we shape our life in a way we never like expected. From like even my brothers kwa house. Kuwasaidia wasome and all that. Tulikuwa tunakuja kwa hoteli. Mimi my memories mingi natoka kama mkawa kama tukita kidavi na sai na fair sasa. Unajua nyinyi watoto wa asistangu. Sasa nije muachilia, lazima nige deal na nyinyi mpaka sai na ni God amefanya mfike wapi? Fike hapo. Unaweza mbia time unaweza kwa unaona like hiyo pesa ulikuwa unatupea ni kama ni kidogo but it meant a lot.
Ni kweli?
Yeah,
hapo
so
ni kweli.
Kai, Mungu akubariki sana uncle.
Asante sana.
Na may God help us tukiwa tu always tuna respect na tuna appreciate.
Okay.
Yeah, na may God give you long life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nimeshukuru.
Nakupenda.
Kwa vyovyote hata mimi nampenda kama watoto wa sister yangu. Na hiyo unajua ni nyinyi kama wewe na wale wengine hata Jeremia ama Hiram, nyinyi ni watoto, ni kama watoto wangu. So hata kama mimi ndio mdogo kwa mama yako, mimi ndio mkubwa kwetu, ndio first born.
Yeah.
Sasa mimi ndio karibu last pale.
Yeah.
So mimi ni mdogo lakini sio mdogo ati vile lakini nimemshikilia hapa kutosha.
Nice. Everything went south really quickly. We couldn't afford to pay rent. We couldn't afford to pay that. My parents couldn't afford to pay your hotel. So what happened? Ni kutoka huko mbio. Hata guess 1 month haikuisha. No, iliisha. Tulikuwa tumekaa actually like few months but hatukuwa tumeweza kulipa rent. So my dad akawa like, you know what? And he usually like says this, never let rent equal stress. If you can't afford rent, enda to the nyumba yenye unaweza afford. And hiyo ilikuwa like one of our lowest moments. Tushasikia kuhit bottom rock. That's how we hit the bottom rock. We went to this ghetto inajiita City Carton. Saizo tumepoteza kila kitu. Tulikuwa na couch, tulikuwa tunalala vizuri and all that. So City Carton vitu tulibeba tukihama from Madare ilikuwa tu nguo peke yake. I kid you not. Tulihama na nguo tukaenda kwa a big house, empty house ya matope everywhere mpaka chini in City Carton. After Madare, things got really bad. This is like immediately after we relocated from Karatina all the way to Madare. We thought life will life, but unfortunately again we lost everything. Yes, we had couch and everything, but we lost them and we had to relocate. Now this is what I can say in my story, in everything I have told you in my story. This was the rock bottom of it. This was the low that we went, because we didn't have anything. We didn't have mattresses. We just had clothes. And this is the ghetto that we came to. Literally, tulikuwa tunaandika cartons kulala. Unaweka carton, then unachukua kijacket kyako ama nini unalala. This is one big house. And kuna watu watano, with my 5 siblings and parents kwa that one room. Kama kuna pale niliita Mungu, or rather tuliita Mungu, ni hapo. Even if you are going through problems, kuna zingine ni kutolewa nguo, literally. And I feel like even God, when you're going through problems, when you're going through hardship, He affords you grace, where people can say hey, you look good, but ukikumbuka shida zenye unapitia, kunafaa kukuwa na hiyo, God's supposed to shield you, to help you, that nobody is seeing. But at this particular moment, everybody could see that tumeenda chini. And I remember asubuhi na jioni na usiku, we were just praying and calling upon God to come, because the situation was so bad. I remember there was a time my mom got sick, and you under some kind of sickness. Hata but ingekuwa ni homa, but alikuwa na diarrhea. This place did not have toilets. Have you ever heard of flying toilets? At that point, it's when you start asking God, where are you? Because there's no toilet, there's no bathroom. You are sleeping in a very big empty house. Aina cement. It's the same thing. Then hapa kuna mtaro. That's when nashinanga nikisema, when I was seated there, when we were there at a particular point, and the life to hit so hard that we are staying in a place that's so disgusting. We never give up. You go, you put it somewhere and you throw it. You don't care where it lands. So those are the toilets that were in that space. Anyway, very sad. So my mom, when he got sick, hata kama ni flying, unaenda kwa nyumba, then unatoka nayo ndio ifly. And in that particular moment, nilisema hapana, the situation have to change. Sasa Mungu ukuja utuchukue sisi wote, ama the situation will change, because this is beyond even humanity, it's beyond everything. But one thing I love about my parents is, and what I have picked from them, is to never give up. Never give up. My mom alikuwa anatoka tu, na usiweka kwa nyumba, no matter even when I feel depressed aje, no matter how maisha imeenda chini, don't stay in the house, move. Hata meta tu utembee tu, uende tu ukitembea. I know it's hard. I know it's very hard. But just walk, because sometimes that's where you meet people, that's where God meets you. And I remember one day my mom could hear some women talking, walikuwa naenda biashara, soko. Ako how about nikuje mnionyeshe hiyo soko. Hakukuwa choose, alikuwa ready for work. Tu ile tu roho, akaenda now 3 a.m. And that's how God started changing now that life. That's how we started rebuilding. But again, Romans 8:28, everything happens for good for those who love God. How that have shaped me is, I am never I don't get afraid, because I know God, where God ametutoa. It's the same God mwenye niko na yeye saa hizi. And even like when taking risk, the worst that can happen is being in that space, rebuilding from there. I have been there, I have done that. So sidhani kama kuna kitu naweza nishtua other than my relationship with God. So in this life, money, losing everything, nothing compares to that place. I have never experienced something like that. I have never felt insignificant kama in that particular moment when tulikuwa City Carton in that house. That house, of course, it has been rebuilt. It's no longer matope. Zingine zimebomolewa. But I thank God. And for me, what I want to say from that is, there's God in heaven who answers prayer. And no matter how your situation may seem unredeemable, may seem as if it will never change, hold fast your faith. Trust God with all your heart and rely not in your own understanding. Trust God. And be so foolish in trusting God. Like when you are there, you are manifesting big things. I remember when we were in that space and we were manifesting and saying, one day we're gonna like have built our parents big house. We're gonna have big cars. Tunaingia kwa compound na hizo magari, all of us. Tutakuwa na viti. Imagine tulikuwa tuna manifestia kukuwa na sofa set. Back then tulikuwa na sofa set. Like nice couch, nice house. Used to manifest that. But we are manifesting kidogo kidogo. When you're manifesting all those big things, what you gonna do? Unakongwa na ufundo. Na bring back to the reality. But don't give up. And there's God in heaven who hears your prayer. Don't give up. No matter how bad things get, just trust that God yuko na anakusikia. So remember, everything is happening from the time tumekuja Nairobi, from Madare North to City Carton. There 6 months zime lapse, and the situation was very bad in that we couldn't even afford to go to school. Yes, ilikuwa free, but remember, we needed uniform, we needed books, we needed, so when you're admitting a kid, even if it's free primary education, you still need money kupeleka huyo mtoto. So we stayed, all of us, at home. So when I say like even back then tulikuwa tunaona hata maisha huko shags ilikuwa better off than being in Nairobi. But my dad alikuwa amesema hata kama ni kuisha tunakufa zote pamoja, but there's no way we are going back there. And that's how he persisted. And I remember now he left Nairobi akaenda all the way to Narok kutafuta job. So my mom akabaki tu huko. And that's how also akasema hata kaa chini akaanza kwenda Marigiti. Like I applaud my parents and what they went through, because it's not easy seeing your kids, like all of your kids not going to school. Saizo umekuja Nairobi kutafuta green pasture, but time ikakuwa red. When my mom started going to Marigiti, then alianza tu kujituma. Alikuwa anauza tu pumpkin tu fulani. Tukawa tumetokea hiyo time. But she used to sell. Za kwanza alikopeshwa, then za zingine akaanza tu kuuza na kuuza. I'm telling you, within a period of like few weeks, like I am so done. There's no way I'm staying here with my kids na choo iko hapo, because ilikuwa so inhuman. Like ilikuwa a bad state sana. So the first thing that he could think of ni at least tuhamie ghetto yenye iko posh kidogo ama iko better off. At least it could afford maybe a better house. From nyumba ya matope tukaenda kwa nyumba ya mabati. Ilikuwa Cambio, like nikuvuka tu like mto hiyo ghetto ya Cambio. So there we stayed. And let me tell you, God answers prayer. But anyway guys, tulihama tuna mabed sheet. Of course hatuko na anything else. Tukaweka hizo manguo, kila mtu nguo So kila mtu unabebesha watoto au 5 bed sheet. Trip moja tosha, tukakuwa tushahama. And now, welcome to our second home. This was after City Carton. This is where we came. So my mom akafungua shop hapo Cambio. Then since alikuwa anaenda Marigiti bado, akafungua soko. So akaona anaweza letanga vitu mingi hapa anauza. God's grace ikaanza hapo. At least shop ikapik. Soko ikapik. Akaanza mpaka kuuza sasa kama githeri. Ikapik. Like now everything that my mom alikuwa anaguza in a peak. At that particular moment, at least my mom tuko na uniform. She could afford uniform with my dad, and we went now to Dr. Livingstone Primary School. At least there life was kidogo better, and we could eat well, we could sleep well. Even though we were still sleeping, sasa tulikuwa tunalala kwa mattress chini sisi wote. But at least it was better. So guys, remember when we left City Carton, we didn't have any furniture at all because we carried whatever we had in bed sheets. From now, the City Carton is that side, so Cambio is on this other side. So I remember, like, the best thing that happened is our mom saving each and every coin that she had to buy these couches. This is a butterfly seat. Back then, those because in a trade, and this was an answered prayer. This seat right here, and I'm surprised that I have found them still here. These are the seats that we were playing with, like zimetulea yani. I can't believe that ziko bado hapa. So for us, ilikuwa ni something that we were manifesting, just to have somewhere we can sit. Butterfly seats. Wazatu kukuwa na viti, and this ikakuwa answered. Mungu ni nani? When God opened the well in the wilderness for Carey, it's like the well in the wilderness for us was when we moved to Cambio, and God blessed our parents with a business that was flourishing and was doing so well. This business schooled my brother, my big brother, my sister, my another brother, like all of us, and it provided for us. And life ikaanza kukua poa. We were even like eating balanced diets. Tulikuwa sasa mpaka na, so in Cambio, at least for the first time, we were somewhere where nisi tulikuanga rich. Unaona, so in a ghetto setup, you are a rich kid in that ghetto. And I remember the words of my dad still echoes in me. I say, like, be humble. Haujafika bado. Msiringe even if mnaona kwa hii ghetto ni nyinyi, bado kuna watu wako na. So, and that taught me to always remain humble and always know there's someone who is always doing way better than me, and there's no need for you kuringia watu ama kujiona ni kama umefika, since because God has been so gracious to you to bless you. We are super grateful. So this place is just almost as it was when we left it. Kila kitu kuna kitu imechange, nothing. And actually nothing imechange. It was still the same. The toilet is still there. Like this room used to be now the bedroom and the city. Then this one was the shop. Sasa bado tuliweka shop. So what can't God do? For me, why am I taking you kwa this journey? I want to remind you that God answers prayers, and it does not matter where you are in life, because you don't know what God has in store for you. You don't know. Just continue praying, and it's not by hard work. It's by God's favor, His mercy, and it's possible to make it without any connection, any Godfather, because our Father in heaven, He does not need anyone. You just need to be connected to the source. for him to connect you kwa kila mtu. And it has been a journey. As I'm taking you through, I want you to see not the success or what I have been able to achieve over the time, but just to see God and how faithful he is, and that prayer works. And the journey to success, haina shortcut, by the way, hainanga. So everything was perfect. Guys, remember tumetoka kulalia Carton. Saizi tuko na nyumba, tumehama hata hiyo nyumba ya mabati, tumeenda ingine ya mawe, still the same ghetto. As nimesema, God alikuwa open a well that ilikuwa inaleta tu vitu poa. So my dad hakuwa ni kama ni ye agent ya Cambio, hakuwa na collect rent. Ni kama tuko naishi maisha mazuri wewe. Huko kwa hiyo ghetto tulikuwa tunaonekana na tuko na maisha tuzuri sana. It was so good. So tunaanza kufeel like maisha yetu inaanza kuchange. We could like sense we are about to make it. You know, like when the success is almost knocking kwa your door. Yes, we are about to make it. That's how we felt. And we were so grateful to God. We could host our friends now because there was this house that we were living in. Ilikuwa na kicompound kubwa, hakuwa na mtu mwingine. So our friends used to come, used to make chapati, we used to host even like youths, some of the youths, or rather my brothers walikuwa na host some of the youths from our church. Like ilikuwa poa. So we thought, but everything changed when 2007 happened. How we started now thinking of getting out of this place and seriously praying about it was during the 2007 post-violence. And it really affected us. Because I remember back then my mom had a shop. She had, tulikuwa bado na soko, and they were doing amazing, mpaka githeri tulikuwa tumeweka. Like everything that now we were touching, God alikuwa anatupea favor. And I remember when that night, when people we knew who are our neighbor, people we called friends, people who were our customer in the shop, people who my brother alikuwa anaenda kuwatch nao football, people who parents I used to school with, they invaded our house at night and they were looking for our parents to kill them. It's just we were saved by the grace of God that when that happened, mama alikuwa ameweza kuona something is about to happen. She could sense. Akatuchukua akatuficha pahali. And then they remained wakiwa na mama and dad. Hawakuweza kukua because tulikuwa tunafichwa. Then when hiyo vita ilianza, can you imagine everybody came for us. Set ni vita tunapiga neighbor. No, walikuja kwa Mukorino to fight Mukorino and to steal and to root everything that we created. My dad was a photographer. He used to take a lot of photos for us when we were kids. We used to have these big albums. Those people burned everything. They destroyed everything that we had created. We lost everything. Everything. I'm speaking about clothes. All the money. I remember that time my mom alikuwa, the chama, the savings alikuwa ameziweka kwa nyumba. The sales alikuwa amestock up the shop. We lost everything. So again, all the way to Karatina. So post-election violence ilifanya we start again afresh because tulikuwa tumepoteza everything that we have built so hard. So ilikuwa a trying moment for us and a sad one for that matter because at that particular time my brother amemaliza form 4, he's looking forward to kwenda campus and life was starting to feel like at least we are almost making it in life. So we are starting again from scratch and we had to go back again to Karatina to pick up the pieces to rebuild. But thank God, this time we knew better. This time my mom and dad had a lot of experience and they weren't giving up on trying again. They were like, we have to try and try. But God is so faithful, and thank to God because of their resilient nature, because of their hard work, because of their prayer, we were able to move from this ghetto now all the way to Buru. I don't know guys if you understand how that is a big step. Imagine kutoka ghetto this ghetto after you have lost everything to go to an estate. Buru hiyo time ilikuwa inajulikana ni ile estate. Yeah, it can only be God. It just happened. Kulikuanga na ni elections zingine zilikuwa zina happen ama ilikuanga ni yes si election, ilikuwa ni Sabasaba. And I remember since the Sabasaba thing ilikuwa almost tied to election yenye ilikuwa imehappen na vita, kulikuwa na hiyo mood like kuna vita zinaweza erupt tena. And now since tulikuanga already traumatized na 2007, my mom was like aitupate huko. And hiyo time bradangu ashamaliza kampo, ashaenda amepata job. And again the sharing part, akasema okay, fanyeni hivi, sasa asha move out, endeni mtafute nyumba Buru, then sasa mkae for si permanent mpaka like vita ziishi, like Sabasaba ipite. Tukaenda all the way to Buru. And let me tell you Maina, Mungu akustestishe place umekuwa kiomba then utoke, hautoki, you acquire. So we never went back to Cambio. That's how we found ourselves in Buru. So even if we were staying in Buru, haikukuwa ati hiyo posh Buru. It was good to be associated with the Buru, but the house was not as if ni Buru.
So kujeni kwa nyumba. So if cameraman wasisonga nyuma kidogo tuonyesha watu hii mansionette. Kuna mlango ya kwanza, huko si kwetu. Hapo ndio kwetu. Hii mlango ndio yetu. So you can come. Welcome inside. So welcome. Here it is the door to the
mega huge sitting room. And you ask me wagani, vitu ziko wapi? Anyway, we are going to go to that. So this is the kitchen. Don't worry, the fish stopped working. So that's why you go hapa. So this is the sitting room. So many memories. Zimekuwa kwa this sitting room. So many, like I feel like I'm crying. I don't know why I'm reacting like this, but it's so emotional for me being on this room. Anyway, as you can see on we have one window kwa sitting room, a small one, but we thank God kuna watu wenye hawana hata dirisha hawana nyumba. So the next one, of kitchen, of course. In the kitchen, and here I have my sister. Nina nipikia kachai. So there, this is our kitchen. As you can see, we have here tunakatakatenga boga and tunaosha vyombo. Tuna hatuna maji. Ikapi maji imepotea. Itakuja Monday. Basi tunashukuru kuna watu wenye wanaishi bila maji. Sio ndio wanaweza tunapata. Plus we have our storage here. We have, this is our storage. And usijali hapa ndio dasi ilikuwa. Usijali, it's gone. So from our kitchen, this is my bedroom, or aka siblings bed or kids bedroom. Tukaanza kwetu, yes, hii ndio ilikuwa bedroom yetu. Msione ikiwa dogo for now. Ni vile nansi lakini vitanda ziko wapi? Anyway, ina vitanda moja hapa. Kitanda ilikuwa hapa na pia ingine hapa na kuna kama mattress kanaweza hapo hapo. So msijali again. Muka yetu mtanipenda. You know what nini? Master bedroom. Welcome to our master bedroom. Master, yeah, main mama bedroom. It's huge. It's okay, not that huge, but okay, you get the point. At least hatukulala nje. At least hatukulala nje. Again, this is the wallpaper. Hii ilikuwa ni hapo. My mama alikuwa amekuwa exercise ya kufanyanga. Hiyo ijaenda, I don't know, vitu again sijui ziko wapi. So again, come with me to our bathroom. Msijione hivyo. Yeah, ziko separate, haziko pamoja. This is our bathroom. Tunaogea hapo and we thank God. Then this is our toilet. Unaenda shughuli yako hapa ndani. Again, don't we are happy, very happy to have lived in this house. So many memories.
So maisha ya Buru ilikuwa poa sana. I enjoyed my high school life. It was amazing. Again, I was very competitive. So kwa class yetu nilikuanga like hapo nilikuwa nataka tu like nikuange tu karibu na top 3. Nikicheza sana naenda hapo number 4, number 5, then narudi tena. So na nikimaliza nilikuanga number 2. It was a good experience. I loved it. I loved maisha yangu ya high school. Naweza sema ndio ilikuwa like the most beautiful than the primary than the primary. My high school life was good and it was full of memories. But tukamaliza high school and you know my hustle in me. Singeitikia kukaa kwa nyumba. Kuuliza kazi. My due ni November. Nauliza kazi the moment nimemaliza high school. And I got a job. Buru, at Buru, nilikuwa nauza vitu. Nikiwa hapo, my brother akakuwa like, actually, the same, anza kufanya CPAs. You could register CPA na mock before results zitoke, then you continue. And that's what I did. I registered for CPAs, nikaanza kusoma, kujisomea, and nakumbuka nikifanya 1 and 2. Kwa sababu hizo CPA 1 and 2, nilijisomeanga, nilikuwa tunaenda like sikumbuki hizo vitu zilikuwa zinaitangwa aje, unaenda ku-revise shule. Ni block kama ni mock kama ni nini. Whatever, I can't remember. It's just where you go to revise. You go kwa college yote wanafundishanga CPAs and you sit in a class where you are revising and as you prepare for the exam. But hujaenda shule, hiyo shule. Does it make sense? Anyway, yeah. So, 1 and 2 nika-combine and you know, yeah, I am bright. I'm a bright kid. Nikapita. Vile tu nilipita. Now, Miss Accountant here. I started my accounting. A lot of people wananiulizanga, how come you're very young but unasemanga umekuwa accountant for all those years? Kwani math? Because I started working as an accountant, then nilikuanga 18 years. Because after my CP1 or 2, that's when I got my first gig ya kukuwa accountant. Yeah, so when I did nikafanya nikafanya Kamukunji as an accountant there, then nikaenda 3 and 4, niko naenda nikielevate na change kazi. Nikaenda kwa another place kufanya, ilikuwa like Langata. Then nikiwa hapo nikifanya 5 and 6, nikaona inaanza kunikalia ngumu kidogo, so I decided to concentrate. Nikafanya, then nikashikwa tax because I was working another job also as an accountant, na hiyo ilikuwa so demanding sana because also the more naenda nikichange the job, the more napewa a bigger role because niko na experience na pesa iko sawa, so naanza kushika pesa mzuri. So nikashikwa unit moja. I redid the unit and I passed. So when I was done, like nikimaliza, I have my CPK, niko like nikaanza sasa kupata job mzuri. But one day when I was sitting in my desk, sasa nimefanywa like finance officer in a certain company. Niko like, this is not the life that I want. Because mimi nilikuanga naboeka sana na job. Because as an accountant, hata bado ukue auditor, once you have mastered the art ya kufanya kitu and the numbers, it's gonna be the same. It's not changing unless kuna kitu government implement kama SHA, shift, shisha. Anyway, na ukishaji on this percent, it's not changing, it's not going anywhere. Kama report, una generate tu kwa system. So niko like also like always up to date reports. So niko like, this is not for me. The numbers are not for me. So I just decided one day to go and pray. Ilikuwa around Easter. And I went to prayer center, Katoloni, and I decided to pray. And I remember I prayed and I was telling God, you know my purpose. Where am I supposed to be? Because I don't believe, for me, life is spiritual, and I'm feeling this is not the place that God wants me to be here. I know it's the Holy Spirit of God, the one that is in me, telling me. And that's why I started telling God, I am ready for whatever you have in store for me, if it's not here. And nakumbuka nikiwa kwa hiyo prayer center, niko like, okay, go quit your job and I'm gonna show you where you need to be. Looking back, wow, that's kind of faith that I pray to have even today. But I know it's God who alinisaidia to be obedient. I resigned immediately from my job. I went back home. And my mom hangeamini like nimeacha job, but alikuwa like, okay, you have prayed about it, I'm gonna also help you pray about it, it's okay. So I was telling God, I'm gonna wait until whatever you have for me nitakuwa ready. So I remember also when I was in the waiting, guys, yes, nimequit job, but si ati niko na saving. That was a bad move, but ni faith too. So I remember nilikuwa na 20k peke yake. So I was like, where will I invest this money? Because I know whatever I'm gonna do, si hapo pan Mungu anataka nikue, but sai huka idle. So I decided, how about an M-Pesa? And I did M-Pesa kwa a certain guy alikuwa anaitwa Peter Kamau. He taught me a lot. I don't know if he knows how much he taught me, and I feel like it was also God's will. Like saizi try nilikuwa nafunzwa na Mungu. Na there's something that Kama told me that changed my life. Guy, long time sasa. Wana aje?
Sina baya.
Muhimu, lazima kila kitu ni kuhasa. Mimi nikasema nikuja nikusalimie. I know. Ni kama miaka kama ngapi?
Ni kama ngapi? Ni miaka mingi.
Ati?
Miaka mingi.
Ni kama 8 years. So when I was starting like my journey, and of course you're one of them. Hiyo tu kunipea like hiyo platform, like mmoja nilikuwa so green kuweka biashara yangu, like my first business nililaunchia hapo hapa kwa hii kiti. And sijui kama unaweza kumbuka, there was a word that you said that uniambianga, something that uniambianga mpaka like up to date. Una muda wako odo then, but I remember when I was here, nilikuwa nachelewa sana kufungua. Na nakumbuka like siku moja ukaniulizanga, hata mlikuwa umeandikwa kazi, mlikuwa unaingia saa ngapi? Nakwambia 8. Then why kazi yako unaingia 10? Nilikuwa like what? Akasema yeah, unakuja kazi 10 na ni kazi yako. Kazi kwenye ulikuwa umeandikwa ulikuwa unaenda 8. You don't respect yourself and don't respect your job. That changed my thinking and how I see things. And that's a journey of entrepreneur. You have to give so much. Kuliko hata mtu mwenye umeandika job, you have to give a lot. So like for me, sometimes I can wake up at 3 after praying and I am working. Like I'm always dedicated to do my best for my job. So Kama, thank you so much for teaching me that. Among other things, the M-Pesa ilikuwa sawa, but si kuanga na float. Of course ni 20k, what do you expect? So ni tu kaliisha tu. So I was telling God, I'm gonna wait until whatever you have for me nitakuwa ready. So when sitting in the house, niko like, I love fashion. How about as I'm waiting Mungu akuje? Because remember me, have never stayed idle all my life. Sinenda tu ni learn kushona nguo. And that's how I went to Kariobangi market. Mama fulani nikamwambia nifunze kushona nguo. So I started doing the sketches and all that. So it was in that particular moment when I was waiting on God, when I decided that, I don't want to be idle at home. How about I just learn how to shona nguo, because I was passionate about fashion and all that. That's what got me in Kariobangi market. Nikaweza kushona nguo. It was amazing and I loved the experience. But funny enough, did you know I did not even last 2 weeks? Nilijipata kwa makeup. Hata mimi it's something amazing. It amazed me every time. But God has been so faithful and I thank God for his faithfulness. So maybe kidogo ningekuwa hapa Msusi, ningekuwa mnanipea kazi na kuja kuwashonea nguo. So when I'm there, niko like, okay, if I want to become a fashion designer, I'm gonna need also learn how to do makeup, right? Because mimi nilikuwa naona fashion designer mkali, najishona nguo, napaka makeup, napiga picha, but the goal ilikuwa kuuza nguo. And that's how I said, okay, I'm gonna learn this makeup thing to collaborate with fashion. And I remember, like, where do I start? Okay, I need somebody kwa industry. Ni wakata kama ni intern. I remember I reached out to few people. Nilikuwa najua na naona wanafanya amazing job. I sent DM, I texted them, I sent an email, but unfortunately nobody got back. And again, everything happens for good for those who love God. That's the thing. And I remember, nikasema okay, hiyo imekataa. Nitalipa basi pahali niende and try to learn as much as possible. And I did that. While I was there, mimi nakuanga tu hard worker. I decided nitakuwa naenda mapema, like nitakuwa najituma. Any opportunity arise, I'm gonna make sure I'm the one who is getting that opportunity. And of course, you can realize somebody who is a good student and somebody who really means business and somebody who really wants something. I say in life, sometimes it's how bad do you really want it. And that got me, nika quit ini ya fashion kidogo, ndio niweza kuconcentrate na makeup because nataka nijitume, ndio like the owner ani recognize kidogo, akuwa ananiambia twende hivi and all that. And I did that. And alikuwa poa. He came through for me, akanisaidia. But let me tell you, and let me say something. Not everything that works against you is working against you. I don't know if I make sense. Not all bad things are working against you. Some of the bad things are working for you, because all things works for good for those who exactly. So I remember ikafika time the lady alikuwa like, okay, everybody out. Sasa kila mtu aende ajitegemee, mshaanza kugrow, kila mtu atoke. And that's how nilijipata where do I even start? Tumeambiwa tuende. And kumbe it's a way of God. Alikuwa like, okay, whatever you need, I wanted you to learn from that place. The period imeisha. And all my life, like God is always pushing me out. From there, I went, kulikuwa na certain guy, may his soul rest in peace, alikuwa ndo Joseph Rome. I went to his studio to be doing makeup from there. That's how I got to do like salon magazines hapa na pale. While there, ikakuwa like salon magazine inafungwa, sijui nini. So I went to another photo studio. Ilikuwa inajiita Snap Harvest. I know a lot of you wanaijua. So ilikuwa inajulikana, watu walikuwa wanaita Boat, but I came to realize it was Snap Harvest. So I started going there, and the lady who was the receptionist at that time alikuwa anaitwa Irene. Hi Irene. So akikuwa hapo kanamwambia, so you just tell people wakikuja hapa wapakwe makeup, insist, like ask them, you know, you want to do a shoot, you know, pictures zatokea vizuri with makeup on. Then actually we have a makeup artist here. Anajaji some amount na kupea discount because ni in-house. So a lot of people, that's how I started getting clients, nini. Alafu also like kupost kwa social media. So I was doing very well. Then kazi yangu ilikuwa safi, acha nisiwadanganye. My work wasn't top notch. Ilikuwa, but nilikuwa naipost na nilikuwa najituma, and I was always making sure that if I have done makeup to a client, najafurahia, nilikuwa najaribu next time nifanye something atafurahia to extra. And my brother at that time alikuwa anafanya Royal Media RMS. And I remember nikaanza kumwambia, because kuna some of the program alikuwa na produce, mkienda on location, instead wao wabebe in-house makeup artist wao, naweza kuja nikuwe makeup artist for free, all I want ni tag, you know. And let me tell you that ilinisaidia sana, ilinipea like mileage mingi. And that's why I say exposure, people say does not pay, but I am like, how you use exposure gonna determine if it's gonna pay or not. For me it paid off. So again, niko bado located kwa ile photo studio. I got my first student there. So this student alikuwa anakuja daily. So we had like a package deal with this studio that every time pia mimi watu wangu wanakuja kufanyiwa makeup, they have to do a shoot. Ndio nisikuwe natumia, because remember sikuwa nimesubletiwa, I wasn't paid rent, they were just being kind to me. And may God bless you. So nikakuwa naanza like I'm building clients really quickly, but some of them wako na haraka, hawezi tamwambia achukue picha, hata hataki hizo picha zako za nusu tatu. So nikakuwa like client are coming but they are leaving without taking photo. I just got a memo early in the morning when my student like nimefika mapema prepare for the class, nikawa like, you know, kaniambia sasa unfortunately we can't continue to house you here because Najeza studio, so I have to move. I cannot be staying there. I have to stay there only when I have clients. My heart sank. Remember, I have one student. I have a student who is supposed to come at 10, na nimeambiwa like nimefukuzwa kwa hii studio nilikuwa. In which I understand them. And again, I want you to understand, like, not all bad things are working against you. Some of these bad things are working for you. So at least now I got another studio that it had, so just a mirror and a chair, but I was paying rent. But it was at least, so it's not like the other place that I did not like pay rent. Hence here, naweza ingia anytime yenye nataka. Na naweza access the student time nataka, na naweza leta even my clients there. So God blessed me with a lot of clients also. And it got a point now where I had to go to a vacation, because all this time sikuwa nimeenda vacation. I went for a vacation, then I came back on a Saturday early in the morning. I had a client's wedding, but she was coming to the studio. Upon the arrival, now my client is there. Nikapata studio ilituanishwa yote, mpaka kama my space gone. And nasikuwa nimepewa notice. I'm there with my client, nowhere to do makeup. Then I was asking God, yani vile tunajishikilia pahali, this happened. It was very painful. We went downstairs, tukauliza security atusaidie tufanye makeup hapo, and we did. But again, I want to repeat this. Good things happens for good for those who love God. It's that particular moment I just now decided to rent my own space. I don't have money, but I got a lady who was doing hair. Her name was Aziza. And together, we just rented a space where we were paying 15K each. At least that one I could be able to afford and move around. Also, I believed I will afford it. It was so good. The business was so nice. Then we decided to move to a bigger space, because right now ilikuwanga tu ni kio yangu na kio yako, period. Hakukuwanga na mambo mingi kwa that space. So when we decided to move space, we found a bigger space, the same building, Kenya House. So the space was going for 25, 30K, can't remember, but it was around that amount. So this space, of course, I was like, I can't be able to manage to pay that rent. Hence, we move in together again. Then we divided by half. You have your space and I have my space. So I was like, okay, let me pay rent. We did the duty. I pay rent, then you do ABCD. So when I paid rent, and I went to Isili to buy carpet with the money that I had, and the balance that was remaining is 20K. COVID hit. I remember ilikuwa March 19. COVID hit. Kukaambiwa the country imekuwa shut down. No moving around nini Nairobi. I mean, hata huwezi toka from one county to another. you cannot kukua town nilikuanga from sijui saa ngapi to saa ngapi. Mind you, I'm doing makeup. I'm a makeup artist at that time. So I cannot be able to touch somebody's face without kumkaribia hivi. Now everybody anaogopa. Saizo nishalipa rent. Na nishalipa deposit. Na nishanunua tu vitu kadhaa, nimebaki na 20k only, mbele nyuma. And one thing I knew, if I go back to the house, my career as a makeup artist is well as done. Right there and then I just prayed God. And you know, I was telling God, you're not a respecter of seasons. I don't care whether it's COVID or not. You're gonna accomplish this project and itakuwa successful na nitapata rent. Na nikacha kusikiza news because I did not want hizo negativity kuniingia, sijui who died, watu wamekufa hakuna. I started constructing. My dad came akanisaidia so that we don't use all the money. And I remember sourcing material from all over Nyamake, Magikomba, kila pahali nikizileta huku like Koinange Street uptown in Africa. We completed. I got my first student hata before tumalize. She came and paid. I was like, oh God, okay. And that's how actually Carey Beauty College started. It started during COVID period. A season where everybody was closing business is the period that God launched Carey Beauty College. And at that particular moment, the student kept on coming and coming. And I remember what I was building, even the management was like, are you sure? Like, this is the perfect plan. Even the other neighbor, when you were on office, waniambia, Carey, are you sure? It's the right time to build. This is the time to hold. Don't spend your money right now during COVID. But I knew, I prayed God, and I know the kind of agreement I have with my God. And I was moving with confidence and with faith that God will do it. And He really did. And I remember that particular period, everything that I do, I do it by faith. And sometimes some of the things that I do, they are very risky. Because even like moving from Kenya House, you remember that studio that I was telling you, ile Snap Harvest, that I was going to, then nikafukuzwa. God made sure that my next space, it's gonna look like that space in the same building, because nilikuwa na uchungu sana ita nilifukuzwa hapo. And it did not dawn to me when I got that space and I paid. When I paid, and you realize, what? This is the same space that I was chased away as just a girl with a makeup box. But God has brought me back as a tenant who is paying rent, just like the person mwenye alinichase. But I'm not mad actually about those people. Actually, I am super grateful that God used them in my story to take me to the next level. Because if they did not chase me, trust me, baby, ningekuwa at the same place, ningekuwa so comfortable, and ningekuwa like not willing to move because of the fear of unknown. But who is God? Aliwatumia kunipeleka to my next step, the next level. And when I moved to UNAFRIC, mind you, it was during election period. And also that was the period that the schools were closed down. Of course, it affected me because I went 3 months without opening the school because shule zilikuwa zimefungwa, and also no people walikuwa wanakuja, watu wenye wanafanyanga short courses hawakuwa hapo, na shule zote zilikuwa zimefungwa as we wait to launch tena the election. But funny enough, God had sijai kosa rent ya that same space. The first encounter with Ben. So after a lot of time that passed, when I met this guy, I decided to come and visit, and guess what? Alikuwa naishi into a certain building here. Right now it looks so much better because it has been redone, everything. It looks like the newest building here. But unfortunately, that time ilikuwa like the oldest. And funny enough, at that particular moment I believed him. I can't really imagine. Tukawa tunaishi hapa, na tukaishi hapa actually for a very long time until I got pregnant with Sky. That's when we moved here. So this building, it is a bed sitter. It was a very kaliwa kadogo bed sitter, but the memories were sweet and were perfect up there. And thank you For the sweet memories. Yeah, yes, we were poor, but trust me, tulikuwa so rich at heart. Poor in terms of money, but rich at heart. One thing I used to say, nilikuwa namwambia tukipanda hizo gari, because tulikuwa napatia pale OTC, used to say, right now we are poor, but one day you're gonna be rich and you're gonna become a billionaire. Yeah, I got a DM from him like, hi cutie. Nitaonyesha hizo messages. Niko nazo. But I believed in him so much that nilikuwa like hata hii Kariobangi tutatoka. Back then ilikuwa inakaa vibaya, msione saizi inakaa vizuri. That building imekuwa renovated. Tulikuwa tunaenda kwa matatu, saa zingine hizo matatu wewe zilikuwa zina what can I say? So after Kariobangi I got pregnant. We went to TRM, and one thing nilikuwa nimeandika tu on my journal, nilikuwa naambia God, mtoto wangu asiwahi panda matatu. That was the thing that I was praying, and Mungu akakuwa gracious, and somehow from a guy who was being paid 200 bob per day, he was able to buy a car. But then something that you guys hamjui about me, I have never owned a car. Mimi sina gari wadau. Anyway, any story for another day. So yeah, so Ben owned, basi kama ni yake ni yetu, si ndio? Anyway, akanunua gari, na that's how tukaanza tu maisha from TRM. Then by the time the baby was coming, we also moved again to a bigger house, to a 2-bedroom house. Here was ilikuwa ni stopover. Hii ilikuwa like stopover, si ndio?
Before tujaingia kwa nyumba.
Yeah. But sasa mimi sikuwa najua huyu kijana ni mbaya. Kwanza kwa saizi bado nimekasirika.
Umekasirika
kwa nini? Sikuwa najua like nilikuwa najua alikwanga playboy, unaona. But sikuwa najua to what extent. Hata kunion. Hata kunion uniambia gai kasichana kama korino. Kanaingia hiyo. Hata kunion no.
Hapana.
Hadi hapana.
Ilikuwa kijana mzuri.
Ben alikuwa kijana mpoa.
Ni broken. Sawa. But anyway, asante Jendo. We appreciate.
Lakini Jendo amedanganya. Jendo hebu sema ukweli.
Ni ukweli.
Sitaangalia.
Saizi is a change to mad.
Ongea tu kweli. Hiyo ilikuwa past. Hata sasa ukimwambia,
hata wewe ulikuwa unashtuka, si ndio? Karibu na muombea maombi. Nimeambiwa na landlord huyo mzae hakuwa mzuri mpaka kaza ikabidi amuongeleshe kama kijana wake.
Hiyo ilikuwa ni
ungekufa vibaya wewe.
Nilibarikiwa tu kwa hii nyumba. Nashukuru. Ndio kwa zile hapo zote tumekula. Yes, tunashukuru sana.
And of course here we are. We thank God for being so gracious to us that we started our life in a ghetto that I came from, and I hated. Like I used to hate that place, not in a bad way. Like inani push. Like I have to work hard. Like for me, when I started my business, I lost my friends. I did not have free time. Even family time was a problem because I had to lazima ninge make it. Sikuwa nataka any opportunity nipite. I used to work so hard because I couldn't imagine nimetoka ghetto na nitarudi ghetto, like starting my life, because I knew I had a choice. So we thank God to where we are right now. And even like the opening of the main campus, the same story. I remember there was a time when I was going to look for a bigger space, and I was trusting God. I was telling God, for those people who know UNAFRIC, you know it's not a bigger space. It's just like 2 rooms. I was telling God, you have made this name, Carey Beauty College, so great than me. God, please help it match. When people come here, they can see the name and the place are matching. Not kuuliza, haya, ka space ni haka tu, na saizo shule inajulikana na huko nje vile ni kubwa. And I moved by faith, and I remember it was the year 2023 December, and I remember I had around, is it 49,000 after paying the salary na kuwa tip na kuwapea something small for the holiday. And we tukashikana tu mikono and we prayed. And I remember we were telling God we need a bigger space. I took it further, I fasted. Na nikawaambia we are going to look for a space. Ilikuwa very funny that I was telling my sister tutahama na tuenda a bigger space. Tukaandika mpaka kwa resolution zetu na tukasema tunaiombea. Mind you, the 49k sikuwa nimejilipa salary na sikuwa nimelipa rent. So come January 1 niko broke, actually nilienda vacation, mimi nayo raha napenda. Nikaenda vacation, but now coming back, of course the company haiko imenilipa pesa na sikuwa hata like nimelipa rent. But nikaanza kutafuta space and I started looking for a space with faith that God would go provide. How I ended up at Bypass Greville, it's a product of faith also. And when I was there, and I remember I was walking I was telling God, this is the space. And I could feel this is the space, but I don't have money. God, I know you will come through. I don't know how, but you will come through. I applied for a loan. Nikaenda nikapatana na a good bank manager, akanisaidia kutengeneza everything, akaniguide, and I applied. Come February, nikasema sisi ndakuwa so busy, ready to build, acha sasa tu nianze tu with the faith that pesa of course zitatoka. Nikalipa deposit, nikalipa whatever I was to pay. Yeah, God provided in the month of January. I don't know how, but he did. Nikapata pesa za rent na deposit. Let me tell you, to cut the long story short, I built that space without the loan. Because kutoka loan ni story ya jaba. I built it with cash. Not the cash that I had, but cash that God provided. I don't know how, but he did. At that year, I got even like personal deal with big brands to influence that zilikuwa zinanipa pesa poa na ziplow back to the company. I got overflows of clients and students. That project didn't stop from the beginning to the end. And I remember when we were launching there, I was in so much tear of God's faithfulness. Because that was product of faith. Because I was telling God, okay, if every day I'm going to remember, God, you have to come through. You know, I have no one. I only have you. I don't have a godfather. I don't have anybody I can call and anitumie pesa. If you don't come now, I'm gonna just, say, I don't know what I'm gonna tell people about you. Because you are the one I prayed and you reassured me this is the place that we are building. So kama sitaweza wewe kwenda, rent nayo ilikuwa juu. Hata sikuwa najua kama naweza afford kulipa hiyo rent. Up to today, God provides. Nalipa 3 months in advance. He provided people. I thought kuna watu watakuja, like maybe watu wa town watanene, but he provided his own people there. Because I know God cannot give you a project just like that na akosa kuleta watu. And that's why I keep on saying, like anybody, any student who steps in Carey Beauty College, it's the person who have been prayed for. It's a person who is an answered prayer. It's a person who is fulfilling like a destiny. He's also like being used by God as a vessel. And that's how I also try as much as possible to be diligent and to be careful with what God has given me and trusted me with. To me, I'm just a vessel being used by God to change somebody's life, somebody's destiny. I know some of you have seen Carey Beauty alumni, and I pray for them to continue succeeding like in whatever they do. Every intake, I'm always praying God to set us people that he wants to change their destiny, that he wants to take to their next level. For me, this is not just a school. This is my calling to mentorship. I have met a lot of students who come to my office. They are going through maybe life challenges, and I don't have anything to offer. I don't have money maybe to give them. If I do, yes, I give. But when I don't, we pray. We just kneel down there and pray. Not one time or two times have we not prayed. with my student staff, because that's my altar, that's my calling. My calling is not, I see money as just a byproduct when I'm fulfilling my purpose in life. And I don't know where God is taking me. I don't know what his strategy is, but I'm confident because I know he's the driver of my life. And I know when God starts good work, he finishes. And the one who started good work in me, he's going to bring it to completion. To whom much is given, much is expected. One thing we dreamt about is having a home, our parents, building a home for our parents. So as you can see here in this home, this is an answered prayer also. It's a product of fasting. It's a product of persistence, and it's a product of God fulfilling his promises to us. And I remember it was in December, we were just having Christmas, and you know, we just decided to surprise our parents with the title deed. And it was a very emotional moment, and I thank God that that happened. And it's not because we had actually money. We didn't have money at that particular moment. I remember it's my brother Hiram who came up with the idea. There's this shamba that's being sold. How about we just shikana and, you know, buy it? Then from buying, then my big brother started mobilizing us for us to be able to build. And, you know, look at this. It's not that we had money put aside. And here actually, I remember that particular moment. Sometimes, every time I remove money from my pocket to do something, I love to speak to that money. And I remember at that particular moment, I wasn't even like financially stable for me to be able to contribute to the building of this house. But every time there was something that was needed, I was telling God, as I removing that money, I also want one day to own a home. And when the construction, or not actually the construction, when we were buying the land, I remember when I removed my first contribution, I was telling God, I want to own a property. And you know, guys, that's how we bought our first land together with Ben. Actually, iko tu hapa neighbor. And I remember when we did the first installment, nilikuwa like, will we be able to manage to finish this project? Because one, we did not have money. In that year, that was the time like Sky was very little that particular month. He was like 3 months, 4 months, around there. And if I go back to where we were that particular moment, hatukukuwa na pesa. So I cannot say that I had liquid money for me to be able to buy land. But it's by faith when I started speaking to money that I have put in to buy my parents' land, I started telling God, since I'm doing this sacrifice and I don't have a land I myself, we are putting this money so that I can be able to buy land. And kidogo kidogo, we did it and we were able to buy like that land. It was a total miracle at that particular moment to be able to afford, because I remember we were contributing, we tutoa pesa zingine that we were contributing 100k per month. Na I remember zingine tulikuwa tunapata mpaka tunatoa 150. Na hiyo ilikuwa like something so impossible, like to me to be able to pata like 100k a month. But who is God? He was able to do that for us. So here where I am right now, it's an answered prayer that God did to us as a family. And you can see it's a very beautiful home. We usually like come for Christmas. We spend here. It's a big house. So from all the way to ghetto, to that particular room that I used to pray, that at least I had to go in a 2-bedroom house, to this, surely God hears and answers prayer. I hope you draw something from my story, and if you don't, I just want you to get this or to remember this, that prayer works. I'm a product of prayer, and it's true, God changes situation, life, and not all things, all bad things will work against you. Some bad things can work for you, and all things works for good for those who trust the Lord. Continue praying. Don't give up. Just when you feel like giving up, ask God for strength. Because when He does come, everybody will know. Everybody, it will show, it will be evidence. To top it all, God has done it again. Something that I could only dream of. And it's funny. It's also a product of faith. Yani, the journey of becoming has taught me a lot, but one thing still stands: to always trust God with all your heart and not lean to your understanding. God is not a respect of seasons, economic situation. He will do it for you. And I can't wait to share an amazing project that God has trusted me with on our next video. This is purely God's doing, and I'm so honored to share it with you. See you on the next video, part 2. You can also click it here. It's linked onto this video. As I usually say, we meet at the top. See you in the next 5 years. Sign off.